So a while ago I mentioned that several states are known for inbreeding, and it didn't go down well. I'm still receiving hate mail and angry comments from people insisting they aren't inbred, and in fact that I was the one who is. Never before have I been the target of so much rage, so I thought it would be fun to dedicate an entire video to surmising all 50 states. Here we go. Alabama. Alabama is actually known for tornadoes, by which I mean the weather occurrence, not the sex position. The people of Alabama, they don't have sex. It's just not their thing. Alaska. What immediately comes to mind are polar bears and Sarah Palin, but realistically Alaska is known for being the largest and northernmost state. In fact, their state motto is North to the Future, which to me sounds like Back to the Future, if instead of Parkinson's, Michael J. Fox was just crazy. Arizona. It has a big hole in the ground called the Grand Canyon, but that's not something Arizonans like to talk about. As the day Arizona achieved statehood was Valentine's Day, it's still known as the Valentine State over a century later. They also have a bunch of native reservations where natives do native stuff. Arkansas, the home state of Walmart, Johnny Cash and Bill Clinton. Arkansas is naturally beautiful, although its flag looks like the logo of a strip club. It just does. California. Almost 40 million people call this state home, and most of them are failed actors. With Hollywood, San Francisco and long sandy beaches, it's no wonder why California is so idealized. But when you think about it, California's population are mostly made of plastic, and they live in a desert. It's not going to end well. Colorado. South Park, marijuana, and some big dumb mountains. Done. Connecticut. One of these smaller states, people from Connecticut are known as nutmeggers. There must be a reason for this, but I don't want to know it. The state is known for producing high-quality tobacco and maple syrup, as well as for being one of the original 13 colonies. DC. Technically not a state, but I really can't just skip over it, because DC is the center of the American government. They even have the White House. And so Washington DC is where Donald Trump has sex. Delaware. I don't even know. Just finding Delaware on a map takes forever. If anyone knows anything about this state, leave a comment. Florida. Florida is known for crazy people. The Florida Man meme is real. Those people are out of their minds. Even before the cocaine trade put the economy on steroids, Florida was already crazy. It always was and always will be. Georgia. There are two sides to this state. Large urban areas like Atlanta and the Deliverance. Go to any rural area and you'll just see children playing banjos. It's terrifying. Hawaii. It's known for Hawaiian stuff, like those shirts, and those tiny guitars, and that weird dog. It's the only state to have a flag featuring that of another country. There's a good reason for that, but we don't have time for it. Idaho. I don't think any people live here, just elk, so the only human life you'll find are hunters from other states. Illinois. Illinois is known for Chicago, and nothing else. Indiana. Their state motto is, the crossroads of America. Quite a boring motto considering it travels the world searching out legendary objects. But it makes sense. From the early days of America's interstate highways, Indiana was a hub of travel. Iowa. Its flag looks a bit French, its capital sounds a bit French, and the inventor of sliced bread was born here. But these days, Iowa is all about corn. The whole state is basically a big cornfield. Kansas. Here's the thing about Kansas. It's like a big cornfield. Koch Industries is based in Kansas, the second biggest privately owned company in the world. There's also that dumb idiot Dorothy and that stupid little dog thing. Kentucky. Let's be honest, it's mostly just KFC. I always thought Colonel Sanders looks a bit like Father Christmas, if he was a porn baron. It turns out Kentucky is some kind of fast food haven, with Taco Bell, Pizza Hut and Papa John's also being based there. Louisiana. I've spent a lot of time in this state. The people are out of their minds, but generally good, even if they all claim to have seen Bigfoot. Their flag depicts baby pelicans drinking their mother's blood. So that's interesting. Maine. Maine is known for its lobster and crawfish, and lighthouses, and Stephen King. It's a very gloomy place, and that's coming from a Brit. Maryland. Maryland likes to pretend to be a real state, but let's be honest, it's just a bootleg version of Virginia. Massachusetts. Although mostly home to drunken Irish police officers, Massachusetts has a lot going for it. It's the home of basketball, and some of the best schools in the world. Some of America's most successful political dynasties also have their origin here. Michigan, a surprisingly nice state considering it's the home of Detroit, and also the people of Michigan. A true Great Lakes state with access to 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. Naturally, it's known as a fishing destination. Minnesota. People here sound like they're in that movie Fargo. Other than that, it's basically just Canada. Mississippi, the home of Oprah Winfrey, and syphilis. Technically, it's unknown where syphilis comes from, but I like to imagine it's from Mississippi. Think about it. Missouri. I've been thinking long and hard about a good way to describe Missouri, and it turns out there isn't one. Montana, the treasure state. Montana is known for its massive deposits of gold, silver, sapphires, and oil. In the 19th century, Montana became a gold rush state, attracting countless prospectors. Yet today Montana has a total population of -12, making it one of America's least populated states. Nebraska. There was a time when this region was known as the Great American Desert, but actually it has the most underground water reserves of any mainland state. See, this is an educational video. Nevada. Their flag looks a bit like it belongs to a communist state, but Nevada is the exact opposite of that. It's basically just Vegas and then desert. Might not seem like the best location for human settlement, but that's what happens when you let the mob build a city. New Hampshire, the first state to declare independence from Britain. In every election cycle, the first National Party primary election, by which presidential candidates are chosen, are held in New Hampshire. This is because New Hampshire law requires that their primary be held before any other. Why? Because they really don't have anything else. New Jersey. New Jersey is like the younger, less attractive brother of New York, but they're able to share toys with their bigger brother, like the Statue of Liberty and the Jets. New Mexico. It's like real Mexico, but with more actual Mexicans. The state was actually named 2 centuries before the country of Mexico was, so really it was named after the Mexico Valley, not the country it borders. But New Mexico is more well known for a strange form of blue crystal meth that in recent years has grown in popularity. New York. Wall Street, pizza, the Yankees, Donald Trump, Italians, and maple syrup. North Carolina. Its state motto is First in Flight, due to the first powered flight by the Wright brothers taking place here. But as they were from Ohio, both states claim to be first in flight. To this day it remains the least interesting rivalry ever. North Dakota. This state is the definition of remoteness. I mean, its largest city is literally called Fargo. With such a low population density, the state is home to thousands of happy moose, who are frankly sick of humans. Ohio. Mostly known for its children, 6 presidents have come from Ohio, as did Neil Armstrong, Thomas Edison, and many other psychopaths. It's also an important swing state in elections. Oklahoma. Nope. Oregon. You've got Portland, which sadly is like the mecca of hipsters, yet most of the state is covered in thick forest. We're talking legit Bigfoot country, and I don't mean the inbred locals. Pennsylvania. It seems like most people who live here are either Amish or Benjamin Franklin. America's Constitution and Declaration of Independence were created here. They also have a big statue of Rocky Balboa, despite him not even being a real person. I guess they ran out of those. Rhode Island. It's not really a state, far too small for that. Rhode Island is basically a village. South Carolina. It's like North Carolina but more southern. South Dakota. It's like North Dakota but more southern. Tennessee. Whiskey, music, and prostitutes. Texas. It's like that book Guns, Germs, and Steel, but instead of germs and steel, it's just more guns. So it's just I mean, it's just guns. People here still wear those big dumb cowboy hats, and some even drill oil. It's a real place. Utah, the home of Mormonism. Over 60% of people in Utah are Mormon, which means that most people in Utah are probably good people. Maybe you thought I was about to make an anti-Mormon joke, but that's the one thing I will never joke about. Vermont. Maple syrup, Bernie Sanders, and Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Also a flag that for some reason I find calming. Virginia. Producing some of America's most successful mass shooters, Virginia is an interesting place. More presidents have come from here than any other state. The Confederate capital was in Virginia, as was the first permanent English settlement in North America.